it back here. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Finance Rebel Show, the Wednesday edition, the Wednesday, Wealthy Wednesday editions, where we answer or I answer questions all day long or all night long. Every week, every Wednesday, 8 p.m., we answer, well, again, I answer questions. I don't know why I keep saying we. But if anybody has a question, go ahead and throw it in the chat or in the comment section. If you know anybody that is looking to enhance their financial IQ, be sure to share this stream with them and let them know we're here every Wednesday. So, as you know, every Wednesday we get set up live. We're on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram. And so I just answer questions. And while we're waiting for everybody to come in and get set up, I want to talk about something that's real dope. Now, I was watching it or looking at it on my iPhone, but I'm using my iPhone now to go live on Instagram, so I can't use my iPhone. So give me a minute while I pull it up. Oh man, I pull it up on my iPad, and guess what? My iPad only has like 10%, so I didn't charge it up. Hey Nicole, hey Tay Digital, how are you? Hey Ty, is it Ty or is it Tay? Because I've been messing up people's names this week, and I feel bad about that. But what I was going to talk about as we get going, right? So everybody knows who Swizz Beatz is, right? Zone. Oh, all right. I'm gonna come to that, Bear Life. Let me talk about this real quick. So everybody's been watching the versus battles. The last one was with Joe Scott and Erykah Badu. It was a dope battle. I saw some people that was like they were bored. And I'm like, if you're bored, you don't know what good music is. But that's a whole other thing. And of course, I got to ride for Jilly because he's from Philly. But again, some people thought it was boring. However, I pulled up an article today. Somebody shared an article today with Swizz Beatz, where he says he wants to give $1 million each to Kool Herc, Melly Mel, and other hip-hop pioneers. And I think that's such a dope idea. Now, for the record, if y'all don't know, I'm a major hip-hop fan. Major. And not just the music, right? Because rap is something you do, hip-hop is something you live. All right, so not just the music, but the lifestyle from DJing to b-boying to graffiti to just knowledge and knowledge of self. It's all hip-hop. So Swizz goes in and says, he was talking to Joe Buttons, and he says during a recent live, so I'm reading this from this caption here, during a recent live conversation with Joe Budden for Beat Zone Radio, the veteran producer threw around the idea of pitting Rakim against Big Daddy Kane. By the way, I think that would be awesome. Big Daddy Kane, Rakim battle would be awesome. Rakim is a little mellow though, right? But still gotta love the R, gotta love the God MC. But I think it'll be awesome. And so Swizz says, I want to raise $1 million for each icon that started hip hop. He says around the 10-minute mark. Kool Herc on down. The fact we're not paying taxes on who started hip hop shows me we don't fucking really love hip hop. The fact that and I'm reading, folks, the fact that we don't pay taxes as artists to those icons that paved the way, took the lower cut for the music that allowed us to feed our family. And he says, fuck the government. We need to be paying taxes to the creators of hip hop that gave us freedom of speech to move forward. I'm going to go so hard with that. Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flash, Sugar Hill Gang, minimum $1 million a piece. And so Joe Budden chimes in and says he's on board, agreed wholeheartedly, saying every new deal that gets signed should pay a 1% or 0.5% should go to rapper reparations, the way they made the 360 deal. So I can't tell you, I think that is so dope. That's how we're supposed to be thinking about it. That's actually how wealth is truly created, right? It's not created as an individual on an individual standpoint. It's usually created by a group. And clearly, this group, the Melly Mels, the Sugar Hill Gangs, the Treacherous Threes, you know, just on down the line, they've all paved the way for Hip hop, that is $1 billion industry right now on its own. And it makes no sense to have people who paved the way to be hurting. It makes no sense to have people that paved the way to not have any health insurance, any health benefits, right? And so why not? Why not? Hey, Marcia, how you doing? Boss Rasta, how you doing? Kelly, how you doing, Kelly? LL versus Kane, that would be dope. That would be dope. All right, so Urban Villa, do you think it's a good time to invest in airlines? No, I don't think it's a good time to invest in airlines. I think we talked about this last week, right? So there's a reason why Warren Buffett sold out of all airline stocks. And I actually started to make a separate independent video about airlines and potential airline investing because I do get a lot of questions about airlines. And is it a good time? I would say no. So let's play a little mental exercise, right? Called Where's the Money? By the way, we want to talk about Where's the Beef in a little bit too. Hey, Edith. Hey, Lawanda. Hey, Chamise. I always get jacked up on this thing. I'm just Kirk Jumikin. I always say it wrong. Hey, Cheryl. How y'all doing? My apologies for jacking up your name. So let's play a little game called Where's the Money, right? So with airlines, where do they get their money from? How do they make money? They make money in shipping, right? Because people do ship things in the bellies of airlines outside of their passengers. They make money on fees, right? Fees for bringing bags on. And they make money with people flying the actual planes. With people actually taking trips and buying tickets to ride on the planes. So when are any of these things going to come back? Like, let's talk about this as a group. Y'all chime in. When do you think airlines are going to start really booking flights en masse, like to make a lot of money? Because remember, sometimes some of these airlines, they may not be full. And sometimes they lose money on those flights. That's part of the reason why they shift people between flights. Is because they're trying to maximize profits. PDQ just grabbed Delta, okay? But y'all tell me when they're going to start making money. Miss Katie Student, thank you for joining us. So, like, when are they going to start making money? At what point? All right, Kelly says December. Anybody else? Anybody else? December. All right, Kelly goes with December. It's definitely long term. So airlines, if you go back and invest in now, it's definitely long term. All right, so Urban Beard Life, Thad is thinking October, November. Maybe, but here's the other side of the coin. There's freaking 33 million Americans unemployed right now. So even if they do have money, right? Melanated Alton, shout outs to you, bro. Thanks for joining us. Even if, because I do think some of the jobs will come back kind of quickly once they reopen, if we don't see any pushback and reoccurrence of corona. Hey, Charlie, thanks for finally joining us. Right, so I don't see when it's going to be a good time to buy airlines anytime soon. And I don't see the rush to buy them either. I think there's a bunch of other companies out there that have way more well-defined profit generation or profit models than airlines. That's just my take. I could be wrong. I am not God. Stacking Benjamins, how are you? Everybody check out the Stacking Benjamins podcast. It's pretty dope. Oh, Charlie, you're Scorpion C on YouTube. Okay. Did you follow me on YouTube? And by the way, I told everybody I'm going to be eating. I got me some mini graham crackers. I'm starving right now. It's 8 o'clock. And I know y'all not going to let me go no time soon. But listen, I don't really see the real value or the real rush to get back to airlines. I just don't. Not to say that nobody's never going to fly again, because they are, right? We still live in a global economy. People are still going to transact commerce and economics across the board. You'll still have some freight transfer on airlines or shipping like FedEx and UPS. By the way, sometimes UPS and FedEx lay off some of their shipping to some of the airlines. That's why I said they make money shipping. I got some water too, Charlie. Thanks. Somebody buy me some food. Get it delivered. Y'all see that? So I'm going to the next thing. So y'all see that Grubhub is now being considered as a target by who? Uber Eats. Now, y'all know my feeling about Uber Eats or about Uber. I wouldn't buy Uber stock. Again, I don't see a path to profitability with them. Uber has way too many tentacles. I know Uber Freight's doing good. I know Uber Eats is knocking it out the box right now. But I don't really see the allure. And if Uber were to buy Grubhub, that doesn't make me excited by any stretch of the imagination. I was being honest. You know why? Because Uber's still not profitable. And out of all this hype with the IPO and everything that they did, they're still not profitable. So a company can only go for so long being a viable investment, being a good investment without it becoming profitable. The great exception goes to Tesla. Tesla is a different animal. Billionaire Grind, how you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight. All right, okay, so Shamice came back and said next year. Marvin said next year. Okay. All right, cool. All right, and I know I got some other questions. Miss Carol Allen asked, wait a minute. So Miss Carol asked me the other day about Aurora's reverse split. And what is a reverse split? Trey Snatch, what's up, brother? Yeah, Uber is currently $32 a share, but what's their profitability? How much profit have they gotten, PDQ? All right, so Ms. Carol asked this question: why do you have to pay a fee when the company decides to do a 12-1 reverse split? So Aurora is doing a reverse split. So for every, let me say this right. So for every 12 shares you have of Aurora, you now have one. And so she says, I lost my shares of ACB, which is Arona Cannabis, because I only had 10 shares. Not enough to cover the split. That sucks. That really sucks. You know what? I need to look into that, though, because that's very interesting. You only had 10 shares. They did a 12-1 reverse split. And they took all your shares and you didn't get anything. I mean, in theory, as I think about it and I talk it out now, it makes sense. But that really sucks because you put your hard-earned dollars in there. However, this is why I really stress to people, especially new investors, to only invest in stable companies or companies. And listen, I know we're in an era of COVID, right? So nothing really looks stable anymore. But I'm talking about companies that aren't going anywhere, right? I use Ford as kind of my proxy, my prop. Ford's trading around $5. Ford's not going anywhere, though. The government's not going to let Ford go out of business. I hate to say it like that, but that's the truth. And we saw that take place during the 07 to 09 chapter of the Great Recession. Ford's not going anywhere. GM's not going anywhere. I like Ford much better than GM. I think they're a much better run company than GM. By all rights, the stock looks terrible. However, I know they got a bunch of money in cash, in the bank. So I know that's going to give them leeway to run their business. I also know that the government's also going to keep them running and thriving because they're very vital to the economy. So, when you go into these things, I would really be cautious about what you invest in. For my brand new investors, and Ms. Carol, I know this doesn't really offer you any solace or anything like that. I get it. It was trading at, I think the last time I looked, Aurora was trading at 67 cents. But one of the things I caution a lot of the new people who are loving marijuana, right? Because we love all the new hotness. And we should, especially our community. But I caution them to get the ETF because it spreads it out over Aurora, Tilray. I can't think of all the marijuana companies off the top of my head. Aurora, Tilray, I think MedMen, and a few others. But it spreads them across all of the better companies. And Aurora was doing great for a while, for a long while. And then Corona got them. Coronavirus. Like a girl, I can't even remember her name tonight. I think I'm tired, y'all. So let's look at the ticker symbol for the ETF is MJ. So I would rather see folks buy MJ. It's trading right now, and so in my opinion, it's trading right now at $10.96. $10.96. Ticker symbol is MJ. Kind of ironic, right? Right, so it holds Kronos, GW Pharmaceuticals, Canopy, Tilray, Corbis, I always say this wrong, Afria, Aurora, Organic Gram, Sweetest Match, and Turning Point brands. All right, so I would much rather see people buy that than try to buy or figure out which one of the stocks are better. Full disclosure, I think everybody knows I have owned and still own Tilray, just being totally honest and transparent, which is in the toilet now, but I made my money on that a while ago. So now I'm just holding and waiting for that train to come back. But Ms. Carol, if you're still interested in the marijuana space, the cannabis space, I would look at buying MJ as an ETF. The whole official title is ETF MG Alternative Harvest ETF. So I would take a look at MJ. And so again, what is a reverse merger? A reverse merger is when a company isn't doing so good financially. They're trying to restrict or reduce the level of shares that are out on the market, right? So there's some technical things that many of us don't get a chance to talk about when it comes to stock investing. And oftentimes people don't care about them because they're the boring aspects of things. But when you have, let's say, 1 million shares outstanding versus 2 million shares outstanding, it affects the sale price. Oftentimes when you see a company run up in price, the first company that comes to mind was Apple back in the late 90s and early 2000s when Steve Jobs went back. I noticed because I owned Apple at the time. I bought it at 23, ran up to about 45-ish. Then it split. They did a 2-for-1 split. So for every share you got 2 shares, right? In Aurora's case, it's reverse. All right, so it's a little different. And then what happened when Apple was at 45, it ran down to, I want to say around 20-ish again. Ran back down to 20-ish again, ran back up to 40 some oddish dollars again, and they split again. Now, many people don't realize this, but oftentimes the reasons why companies even go public in the first place is for marketing purposes, marketing and branding purposes. But people don't realize that. And so one of the marketing schemes, and this is a super duper advanced marketing scheme, only for those who are on the stock market. They'll do a split because they don't want the price to go too high. because back then, I mean, fractional shares or buying fractional shares was not as easy as it is today. And so they did it to keep it kind of affordable, to keep the analysts loving it. But now when you look at there's certain companies like a Berkshire Hathaway that's several $100,000. And Berkshire has various class, but even Goldman Sachs, how much is Goldman right now? Goldman Sachs is GS, right? Goldman Sachs is GS. Goldman Sachs is $171, but there's another stock out there that's over $100,000. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. So they do that, these splits a lot of times to do some financial engineering. In the case of Aurora, they wanted to bring that share price down because they were trading at 67 cents. Once you get below $1, anything below $5, right, or more is considered a penny stock. Anything below $5 or more is a penny stock. If y'all been rocking with me for a minute, y'all know what I say about penny stocks. I'll repeat it. They're the spawns of the devil. I don't advocate penny stocks. I don't recommend penny stocks. A lot of people who talk about investing and trading are really looking for what I call lottery tickets. That's the get rich quick mentality. That's why they love penny stocks. I think they're terrible for the most part. If anybody wants a little bit more background information on why I say that, I challenge you to Google 50 cents, Google 50 cent penny stock, and somebody come back and put it in the chat or put in, what the title is, 50 cent penny stock. And what 50 Cent was able to do isn't rare, isn't something strange. It happens all the time in the penny stock sector. Now, are there times where, let's go back to Ford. Ford technically at a point was a penny stock because it was below $5. But it's not your average penny stock. Your average penny stock really doesn't have a proven business. Your average penny stock really doesn't have a whole lot of money in the bank. Your average penny stock doesn't have a lot of proven processes to actually run like a full-fledged business. So that's why I don't like penny stocks. But anyway, Aurora was 67 cents. They didn't want to risk being delisted, all right, being taken off of the board where people can easily buy it. And at that point, they would become a pink sheet. So you could buy it OTC, which stands for over the counter. Again, usually not a space where your beginner investor wants to play. All right. My opinion, I know some of y'all see a lot of these advertisements, but I say what I say based on education and experience with thousands and thousands of people over the years. Right. So I'm not a spring chicken. Y'all see all my golden locks are gone. But Aurora, again, they didn't want to be delisted, so they wanted to get their share price back up. And so Aurora right now is trading at $5.80 after that 12-to-1 reverse split. $5.80. So it's just barely above penny stock area territory. So, Ms. Carol, I'm sorry that happened to you. But it's the rules of the game. That's part of the game. And I'm glad it was only 10 shares and not 1,000 shares, even though you would have got something out of it. But it would have hurt a lot more if it was 1,000 shares. Okay, TD Ameritrade charged me a fee, and I got a cash debit call. Oh, that's why you got that margin call. Right. So Ms. Carol asked me last week about the margin call. That's interesting. That is very interesting. All right, Shanine says she doesn't know. I missed what you don't know, Shanine. My bad. Oh, you were talking about airlines probably. All right, Chili Davis says don't buy American Airlines. I would say don't buy any of them. Shami says next year is for the airlines when it's a good time to buy airlines. Chili says 2 years. Tiffany Thompson says, I'm thinking late fall. Tiffany, I don't think I've ever seen you here, so welcome. Thank you for joining. What is Urban Freight? Uber Freight. It's what it is. It's one of the divisions of Uber. They ship freight. That's one of their divisions. And not trying to be smart, just saying. That's what it is. Shami says, I hate reverse splits. Yeah. I mean, no split is really a good split when you think about it. Even when you get shares from them, they're still diluting the price. It's ultimately financial engineering. Wow, they charge you $45 for the transaction. That sucks. That sucks. Jeez Louise. Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be doing business with TD Ameritrade. I'm just saying. But you know what? I would appeal that. I would call them up and I would ask why, and I would ask them to reverse that charge. Never be afraid to ask for someone to waive a fee or reverse a charge. Again, somebody put that in a comment. Never, ever, ever be afraid to ask a company, call them up on the phone and ask them to reverse a fee or waive a fee. Either one. Give you your money back. That's what it basically boils down to. Marvin says Walmart, Target, Kroger. Not sure what the context of that was, Marvin. Try again to tell me. Tamar says hello. Hello to you, sir. Thanks for joining as always. You're here every week. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. When doing our due diligence and research in these companies, how far back should we go before investing? Yes, I'm a brand new investor. So how far to go back? That's a great question. I would say go back. I like to look at different market cycles. So a market cycle, and again, not to be nerdy because I can nerd out on y'all, but it's kind of ebb to flow, right? When you see the market contracting to when the market expands. So there's a whole cycle. I know I've shared it before, but for today, I would say go back and look 10 years. If it's a dividend company, look to see how long their track record of dividends have been. If a company is typically paying dividends consistently and increasing dividends, they're typically well run and they're profitable, because there are some companies that do that, but they're not profitable. And they move money around between debt, loans that they might get from someone in other places. So I will go back 10 years. If they have dividends or if they do dividends or they issue dividends, I would look at those two, look at the track record, and then see if they're also profitable during that time period as well. What do I think about REITs? I love REITs. Remember, it was funny, right? So I don't know if y'all been on. I've been talking about us not investing in prison stocks, and how prison stocks are in REITs, or prison stocks have reclassified as REITs. And so I found a video of me from like 2016, basically saying, I hate prison stocks. I hate prison stocks. Don't buy prison stocks. So one thing to say about me is I'm consistent. If I say something, I'm going to stand on it. I'm not going to waver. 9 times out of 10, unless I get new information. There's nothing wrong with wavering or changing your mind, but I'm going to need some new information. I'm not just going to waver just because the wind blows in a different direction today. So I like REITs. I think REITs are a wonderful way to build an investment. REITs are a wonderful way to build a real estate portfolio without actually owning the bricks and mortar personally yourself. So you can literally start a real estate portfolio with $1. You can start a real estate portfolio with $1, right? That's why I encourage so many of us to invest in Cash App. Here's the deal. Real estate is feeling the pressure right now. REITs are feeling the pressure. By the way, REIT stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. R, real estate, E, part of real estate, I, investment, T, trust, real estate investment trust. But, you know, a lot of people aren't working. A lot of REITs cover various sectors, right? So when you buy REITs, they're not just buying residential property. They're buying residential property. They're buying lodging property. There is healthcare property. There is Timberwood. Anybody know what Timberwood is? Timberwood. Then you have your hospitalities, your office buildings, other commercial buildings like warehouses. So there's several sectors of REITs and of real estate in general. By the way, if you are thinking about getting into real estate as a real estate investor, studying REITs is a great way to do it if you're just now saving up your money and getting your credit together while you're thinking about investing in actual bricks and mortar, because it'll break down the whole industry for you if you study it, right? It'll break down the whole industry for you, and you can get a different view and a different take on things, right? But like for a lot of the hospitality, like I'm not looking at any hospitality stocks right now. Planes, trains, and automobiles aren't really moving, so hotels aren't really moving either. I have a couple of clients who do a lot of Airbnb. They haven't had any rentals since March. So if nobody's Airbnb, are people going to hotels? Probably not. And now that we have the stay in place order and people are not, going to work or they're working remotely, right? That's why we see Zoom stock shooting up so much now. REITs are going to be in a very, very precarious place. And so it's only going to be, again, like we talk about real estate location, sector. Where are they located at in the real estate sector? Are they Timberwood? Well, people are still going to need, my desk is made out of wood. We are heading toward a recession. People's spending is slowing to a certain degree. And we can expect to see more spending. So there are some sectors in real estate that are going to get hit. Timberwood might be one, but I think people are still going to need furniture. They're still going to need paper. They're still going to need pencils. If anybody uses pencils, do people still use pencils? Or am I the only weirdo? But you have people, I'm betting people are going to not look at some of their leases, or when I say not look at, they're going to renegotiate some of their leases or potentially not extend or renew their leases. So I'm in Philadelphia, right? One of the biggest vendors here is, I think the biggest employer in the city is the University of Pennsylvania, the hospital at the University of Pennsylvania. And I know for a fact they lease space at other places. Well, with all this stay at home and work order stuff, when those leases expire, I'm betting they don't renew on all of them. So that's going to negatively impact real estate investors and real estate owners across the board. So we got hospitality, we got offices. Now, I do think in the healthcare space where we have these real estate companies that have constructed retirement facilities, I think they'll probably do pretty good. They'll probably do really good over the next, 3 to 5 years. I think they'll do really good. I think the other segments of real estate as it relates to REITs, by the way, REITs can be traded publicly on the stock market and they can also be private. So you can literally go to a REIT and buy shares directly from them. I just wanted to add that little tidbit in there because it's important. You can't buy every REIT on the stock market, but there are plenty that you can buy. But I think that's going to be very, very, very interesting as we go along in this overall cycle. So let's see, what other questions do we have? Give me 1 second, everybody. Gerald Martin, thank you for joining us, sir. Mount Airy's finest. Mount Airy is a neighborhood in Philadelphia for everybody who's not from Philly. That's right, Carol. Never be afraid to call a company to refund the fee. Thank you. You made my verbiage better. Great editor. Great editing. Maddox Swell, can we get some likes, please? Listen, Maddox, I appreciate you. Yes, you're over there on the YouTube watch it. The likes definitely help me in the algorithm. It helps me show up. Okay. How do you say that name? Is it Afia? I always say it wrong. APHRIA. APHRIA. That's a weed stock. So Carol says she used to own it. So why did you sell it? Tiffany Thompson says, I've been here for about a month. Melanated Alton got me. Oh man, shout out to Melanated. Well, and thank you for being here for a month, Tiffany. Make sure you chime in. At least say hello to me. And ask questions. Like, I want this to be a two-way street. I'm not just here to talk to y'all. What's my take on Gilead? Marvin, didn't you ask me this question last week? I told y'all I'm not super duper keen on pharmaceutical stocks. And I never really took the time to dive in, really figure them out. Why? Because the FDA has to approve all drugs that come in. FDA, Food Drug Administration, right? I don't know why food and drugs are being evaluated by the same organization of the government, but it just dawned on me. But, let's keep going. But if Gilead can get this new drug through, that they got a special approval to put it on the market, and Dr. Fauci, who supposedly has been exposed to COVID-19, who's partially what's the term? Dang, I'm tired. He's doing a partial quarantine. Has said that the drug has marginal effects. Right. So I know Gilead jumped up, did really well. But I don't know what the staying power is. And a part of the reason why I tend to avoid pharmaceutical stocks. It's for that reason. So one day is up, the next day is down. I think Viagra now, like the blue pills, are out of patent. So they're not protected. So you can get generics, I think. I don't use them. But Gilead is $77.06 right now. It dropped. And it looks like from the beginning of the year, started at $65.23. It is now $77. So it's up $12. So 12 divided into 65, it's about 5 or 6%. No, that's wrong. That's like 20%. That's why I use my calculator, folks. So I'm not a big fan of pharmaceuticals. They make a lot of money. And then I also have some internal ethical questions about pharma that I can't confirm, so I won't say them out loud. I will say that it just seems like the medical and health industry is very keen on having us take drugs, but not so keen on having us eat better. And it's been said for a long time, let that food be that medicine. And I'm not going to go on a rant. I'll just say, so watch a documentary called Forks Over Knives, and watch Sick, Fat, Nearly Dead. And I watched those, and I actually interviewed one of the producers of Forks Over Knives. And so I look at that space totally different now. Hey, Cam, are you familiar with Winstock? So like when the hotel, when I think his name is David, when Resorts, the guy that they made step down over sexual allegation charges. You ever heard of him? They're trading at $76.77. I believe Wynn has a nice footprint in Vegas, of course, and in Hong Kong, along with Macau. At the beginning of the year, they were $140.60. $143.60. And today they are $76.77, almost a 50% decline. So, that hurts. You ever heard of them? I don't. I would invest in Wynn at this point. We received 90% of collection, Meg. What 90% of what collection? What are we talking about? Help me out. What do you think about buying stocks in international companies like Puma? Puma's fine. Adidas is fine. Both started by brothers. Both was Nazis. Um, Kanye is making a boatload of money with Adidas right now. They're fine. Miss Carol, I would say though, invest in what you know. Invest in what you like. Do you like Puma? I believe it's a German trade company. German traded company. I am not sure if it trades over here on the States or in the States. Usually when a company from overseas trades locally here, they call it an ADR. It's called an American Depository Receipt. American Depository Receipt. So you'll have some international companies that will actually trade here via ADRs, and basically those companies overseas will place shares and deposit at a bank somewhere so they can be redeemed and traded and the US dollar. Because typically if you're overseas, you're going to trade in the currency that's denominated in that country. But let me see if I can find Puma. Let me see. Right, Puma is PUM. PUM. But I would also look to see if there's some other ETFs doing it. A lot of times, American brokerages have a hard time when it's small money, right? When you're not institutional, right? When you're not an institutional client, the big banks, the big hedge funds, the mutual funds on Wall Street, when you're not trading at that level or investing at that level, a lot of times it's hard to invest in international companies that are not traded here in the States. All right, so let me go. Achievement, how are you? Hey, Achievement, I saw your Cash App. Thank you, sir. I did a thank you video and I thanked you on there. Stacking Benjamin says, I just had Kraft mac and cheese living large. Listen, I ain't mad at that. There's nothing wrong with Kraft macaroni and cheese. I believe Kraft is actually owned by Heinz now, right? Somebody who owns Kraft. I believe it's owned by Heinz. Yep, it's owned by Heinz. So I don't know if Stacking Benjamins was throwing me an alley-oop or not. But listen, Kraft, ticker symbol KHC, was $31.61 at the beginning of the year on January 2nd. Anybody want to guess how much it is today? Anybody want to guess how much Kraft is worth today? Quiet Storm, how are you? Chef Larry, how are you? Which total market mutual fund, Chef Larry? There's a bunch of them. Kelly, you lost your Sprint shares the same way in a reverse merger. I mean, in a reverse split. Yeah, Sprint. That's what I was thinking, Charlie. You should have gotten paid for Sprint. Yeah, Melanie Alton. Thank you, Cardi. Thanks, Boss Rasta. Yes, Edith. I love the Bronx. My family's from the Bronx. That's why I was big up the Bronx. I spent a lot of time up there. Give me 1 second. I need to charge my iPad. Nation of Islam too. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sid Inc., my boy Sid. Sid, thank you for your gracious gift on the Cash App. I did a video giving you a shout out as well. I need a sticker. Who needs a sticker? Cindy, who needs a sticker? What kind of sticker? Limited Edition Living, how are you? Thank you for joining. I'm trying to see if there's any other question. Oh, I see a question here. Now, Thad, you asked this question on both platforms. Do you think digital currency will be accepted in more places in 2021? Maybe. I'm not, like, y'all know me. Like, I'm not I'm not super duper hype on crypto. It's cool. I think it definitely works in various places around the world that don't have a stable currency. However, I'm just not drinking a Kool-Aid that it's going to be, the best thing since sliced bread. I'm just not drinking a Kool-Aid that it's going to destabilize governments. You know what's behind governments? Military, rockets, guns, bazookas, AR-15s, AK-47s, things like that. Those are the things that really keep systems and people in place. Because nobody really wants to feel the pain until they feel the pain. But most people don't really want to feel the pain. So, I don't know. I do think crypto has its place. I do like the idea of having some of it in terms of being able to trade and conduct business on it as it grows. It's going to grow, right? But for me, and again, I keep telling y'all, I like blockchain. And so I'm spending more time studying blockchain. I'm spending more time studying companies that are invested in blockchain. Blockchain is where the goody is. That's where the stuff is. How you doing, Sean? Welcome. I am Murph One. Thanks, Murph. I appreciate your Cash App gift, sir. Is stock splits a good thing or a bad thing? It's neither. Some would actually say it's a bad thing. But it's really just a thing. A lot of times it's accounting engineering or financial engineering to make the stock price look good, like I just talked about a moment ago. Like Apple was split 1 million times over the last 20 years to keep their stock price low. They keep investors thinking that you need a low stock price in order to invest, right? Because to this day, people won't buy like a Berkshire Hathaway. And I tell them all you need is $1 now. You can buy $1 worth of Berkshire Hathaway. And he don't think it's worth anything. And I said, it is worth something. Oh, here's another stock. It's not over 100,000, but Amazon. Somebody look up Amazon for me. What's Amazon? What did Amazon close out at today? 1,700, 1,800? Right? They don't split that often. Jeff Bezos is a genius, and he really doesn't care about Wall Street expectations. I mean, if you really do the history of Jeff Bezos. NDK, CH25, how are you? Take Digital 50. What's the $50? Take Digital. Limited edition says drug dealers always make money on the corner and in the boardroom, but it's dangerous eventually. Yes. Mr. LeBron Sr., how are you, sir? You should have been on at the beginning. I talked about Swiss Beats trying to raise $1 million a piece for all the hip hop pioneers. You asked my take on Forex. Personally and professionally, I like Forex. Y'all know this show is geared towards beginners. My whole mission, my whole charge is to get beginners to invest because there's so many of us sitting on the sidelines, right? So I don't think Forex is good for beginners. Market moves way too fast. It moves too fast. You got to understand what pips are. You got to understand what moves Forex. What usually moves Forex is global macroeconomic events. You need to understand one of my best trades ever was when I shorted the Japanese yen. I need to pull it out and see what it was, but I was early on that trade. I got beat up on that trade by many people in my investment committee because it lost money at a point, but I held on and it turned around for me. And it turned around for me, but it took a long time. Now, I did it through ETFs. I didn't do it through the actual Forex. I have traded the actual Forex. And again, you can lose your shirt on it if you don't know what you're doing. And if you don't have the correct and proper emotional fortitude. Investing, life in itself is about EQ, emotional IQ, emotional fortitude. The higher your EQ is, the more patient you can be. The higher your EQ is, the better off you'll be, or the less anxiety you will have when you have like really crazy scenarios. Every time money is involved, anxiety goes through the roof. It's only those who kind of have a disposition to not really get all in their feelings, right? And everybody's in their feelings, even though we say we're not, right? Everybody's all in their feelings at some point, some way, somehow, even if they say they're not. And then some people get triggered, right? That word is becoming very popular now, triggered. I got triggered. Yeah, well, when you see $1,000 lose in your account and say you only got 2,000, your ass gonna be triggered. You're gonna feel some kind of way. And so I tend to tell people to avoid Forex. I tell other people to avoid all the sexy stuff. I think that's why a lot of people don't like me. Isaiah Wilson, how are you? Boss Man PG, how are you? What about, so take digital ads. What about digital REITs like Digital Realty Ticker, DLR? I think I've heard of that, but I am not totally sure. But you know what? I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent and I didn't get back to my original thing. Somebody was supposed to tell me how much Kraft Heinz was going for. Anybody tell me what? And I asked for Amazon. Oh God, Amazon is $23.67, spot 92 today. Jeez. Guess what I did? I brought $10, and I've been telling this story almost every week. I brought $10 of Amazon back in November. $10, folks. $10. 10.00 $10 worth. And by those numbers, it's probably worth $15 now. It's not about how big of an investment you can make. It's about consistently making investments and watching those investments grow. All right, but I brought up Kraft Heinz because Stacking Benjamin's podcast brought up Kraft Heinz. It said he was eating mac and cheese for dinner, which I don't believe you. But Kraft Heinz, and I talked about the stock price of Kraft Heinz. It's $28.78 a day. At the beginning of the year, Kraft Heinz was $31.61. What does that tell you? By the way, Kraft Heinz has a dividend of 5.56%. I think I'm going to look more into Kraft Heinz for a long-term play. Kraft Heinz, ticker symbol KHC. Dividend of 5.56%. So that means for every dollar you invest into Kraft Heinz, right, you'll get a dividend, right? So you'll get back $1.05, right, on the return when they pay their dividend. So getting a dividend is like getting paid to wait for the stock to go up. A lot of people that are in retirement have dividend companies, or a lot of dividend companies to provide income for them. And y'all have heard me say this before, dividend stocks are the best way of generating passive income. Numero uno. All right, so I'm going to look up DLR real quick. I feel like they do something really digitally, right? I know, no pun intended, but okay, DLR declares quarterly cash dividend for common and preferred shares. Did they just... Trying to see. Okay, so digital. Oh, right. They're the ones that do the server rooms. Damn it. Sorry, folks. I just got dropped on IG Live. I didn't say nothing to y'all. I just zoned out. My apologies. All right. So DLR is a real estate investment trust that invests in carrier neutral data centers. All right. And so basically, They have facilities that have all these cloud servers in them. Right now, the stock is trading at $133.42. Over the last 5 years, they've been kicking butt. 5 years ago, they were $66.70. Yeah, they've been kicking butt. At the beginning of the year, they were $118 a share. And right now, they're $133. So even through all this madness, they have still figured out how to eke out a return. Very impressive. Very impressive. So just bear with me for a second. I'm setting up to go live again. So while we're waiting, what questions do you guys have? What questions does everybody have? Okay, I sold a fear because the price was dropping. I was trying to minimize my loss. Okay. Got that one. I use pencils when I'm doing my budget. All right, Stephanie. Are you doing a lot of erasing? Are you doing a lot of funny math there? Making it work for you? Sorry, IG, extending my time. I went over an hour. Okay, Miss Carol says she loves the movie Six Fat and Nearly Dead. I also watch the Minister of Wellness videos. I don't know the Minister of Wellness video or the Minister of Wellness. Who is that? Marvin Francis asked, do you think Visa will hold strong? Yes, I do. And I think many of the other financial companies will hold strong, or credit card companies. I think Square will hold strong. I think Visa will hold strong. Visa's network is crazy. I think Visa will outdo MasterCard in the long run. I like Square. Everybody knows I like Cash App. Who owns Cash App? Square. So, yep, got there. I'm hearing, so Shami says, I'm hearing they're trying to sell 600 million stocks to raise money. Who are you talking about? Of course, Marvin, I try to answer everybody's question. McCoy D33. Can you go over how a company can get into a major stock index? Are the requirements different for NASDAQ, Dow Jones Industrial, the S&P 500? All right, so let's start. You only named one index. All right, so the others are, or let me, because you said, all right, I'm about to nerd out on y'all, so just be patient with me. So the NASDAQ is actually a place where stocks are traded. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 are not. They are merely pieces of paper. They're merely pieces of paper, right? They're lists. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is basically the top 30 countries, the top 30 stocks in America. And when you go back and you look at why they created these quote unquote indexes or lists, the Dow Jones started out as a way to track the overall economic performance of the United States of America. That's it. Because when you look at them, they tend to keep track of the economy. The S&P 500 is the same thing, except it's 500, top 500 companies in the United States. A lot of them are also multinational. So keep that in mind as well. So the NASDAQ, however, I'm trying to think of what it stands for. Something North American Security Dealer. It's like North American Security Dealer Quotation System. That's actually a real place where they trade stocks. The NYSE, the New York Stock Exchange, is a real place where they actually trade stocks. And so when a company goes through the IPO process, the initial public offering process, they have to be listed on the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, There's like an American board, and there's a few others, but there's not that many. They have to qualify to be there. If you ever notice when you look at the NASDAQ, most tech companies are listed on the NASDAQ. When you look at the NYSE or the New York Stock Exchange, most companies that are listed there are older school companies. You get some now, but the NYSE has the quote unquote prestige, right? They're the hoity-toity. They drink their tea with their pinky finger up, right? So that's how people look at them. So you do have some tech companies that are now starting to list on the New York Stock Exchange. Remember, I told y'all that oftentimes when people list, it's not just for money, right? Well, it's all for money, but it's also for marketing, right? And branding. There's a reason for that. All right. McCoy D33, I hope I answered your question. What about the Sprint T-Mobile merger? All right, y'all ready? Trash plus trash equals more trash. Y'all got that? Trash plus trash equals more trash. That's what I think about the Sprint T-Mobile merger. I'm just saying, no diss to nobody out there that has T-Mobile service that fades in and out. Like, are you there? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? But I think T-Mobile's CEO is very entertaining. I think it was smart for them to merge together because it's more of a competitive force. But I'm wondering how long that's going to work, right? And how profitable it'll be. We'll see. It's been approved, so we'll see what happens. We will definitely see what happens. All right, I'm trying to go through these questions. I swiped through too fast. Thad Green, what do you think will be more places allowing digital currency in 2021? I think more of the weaker places, the weaker economies, the economies where they don't have stable currency, will be the places that adopt digital currency a lot faster. So Venezuela right now is not looking too tough. We talked about this last week too. Thad, why are you so tough on this digital currency? I think Venezuela, any economies that are destabilized. Y'all throw some countries in the chat that y'all feel are destabilized. Are y'all paying attention to your macro global economics out there? Anybody know what global or macro global economics means? I just talked about it. All right, my friends, he's from the BX. BX, stand up. Dave Foster. What's up, brother? Dave Foster runs all of Philadelphia real estate. Financial engineering, that's funny. Why is that funny, Miss Carol? Leonard Richardson, how are you doing, Leonard? Thanks for joining. Have you joined us before, Leonard? Tam Rogers joined us. How are you? Jay Sharia Moore, how are you? So I am Murph. I think Disney is a great stock. I'm actually going to start building a position in Disney myself. They own the whole universe of Marvel. They own the whole universe of Star Wars. We're seeing Shanghai Disney reopen back up. So basically, people are going to the amusement park wearing their mask. So you're just going to have to go to the amusement park with your mask on. Get used to it. Asian cultures have been doing that for quite some time anyway. So I think they're going to bounce back easier from this whole stay-in-place situation faster than the U.S. and many other westernized places around the globe. Disney Plus is kicking ass. I mean, they have over 50 million subscribers. Still not a profitable venture, but their catalog, their content catalog, forget about it, right? It's out of this world. So I would be a big better on Disney. I don't think Disney's going to be a rocket ship and blast off, but I do think Disney will be good for safe, steady, and sound returns over the long term. Yes. Yep. I think they'll be A-okay. All right, so Amazon is 23.72, 23.67. It's probably trading a little bit different in the aftermarket. Cheryl Lester, what is this USD $10.97? What's that? Oh, so Shamice trades Forex. So Shamice, chime in. And Shamice has been around me for a while. We've been rocking for a while. Do you think what I said about Forex is off base or crazy? Because sometimes people think I'm hating on a situation. I don't hate on anything. I will talk about what I think is best for you, right? There are no good and bad financial instruments, whether it be stock, options, derivatives, insurance, any type of insurance. There are no good and bad. It's all about your strategy. How well are you going to deploy your strategy? Now, remember, strategy is what is your long-term play, right? And then to stay within your strategy or to maneuver around your strategy, then you have tactics. Tactics are your short-term moves. So have at it. If you like Forex and you think Forex is dope, it's cool. But again, there's a learning curve, in my opinion. But I believe Shamice has been trading in Forex for quite some time. Darren Miles, shout out to Darren Miles, resident life insurance agent over here. People can be crazy jumping in from the Forex and without knowing much about investing. Yes, I agree. Okay, sure, I got you. KSC, $20.78. Yep. Shanice remembers when Amazon was $74. So that was probably in the 90s. Rhonda Cox, good evening. Good evening to you, Rhonda Cox, and thank you for joining us. Remember, for everybody that's joining us right now, my name is Kamari Ellis. I'm the Finance Rebel. This is the Finance Rebel Show. The Finance Rebel Show is all about increasing your financial IQ. Every Wednesday, I host Wealthy Wednesdays, where I hang out with y'all and I answer all y'all questions. We're squarely in the hour 2 right now. Some of the things we've been talking about have been stocks, DLR, REITs, which are stocks, again, or can be stocks, Disney, and the like. So if you know anybody that wants to ask the question about finance, don't want to be pressured to have to pay somebody, just want to come in here and just have a good time, share this video with them and let them know I don't bite. I like to have fun. I crack jokes every now and again. Sometimes bad jokes, really bad jokes, but don't hold it against me. But again, I'm here to try to help everybody level up their overall financial IQ so they can better the financial positions of themselves, their families, and their overall communities. Now, I am going to veer off for a minute, and I just want to talk about something. Somebody asked me a question. I believe it was on Instagram. I think it was my homegirl, but I don't remember who it was. They asked me, why do capitalism over socialism? So I just want to take a hot minute to talk about that because it's been on my mind. You have a greater chance of elevating your position in life under the capitalistic system in any country, right? And just to be clear, there's really no capitalistic system anywhere in the world, because if there was a capitalistic system anywhere in the world, we wouldn't co-opt anything. There would be no taxes. Everybody would pay for everything. Every road you got on, you would pay for. Every electrical source that you bought from, you would pay for. Every bit of food that you wanted to get, you would pay for. Every school you sent your children to, you would pay for. All right, so that's true capitalism. What we have here in the United States, and I'm being very technical. I am a very technical kind of guy. That's just how I was built. That's how God made me. You have a hybrid of capitalism and socialism, right? Again, socialistic aspects of our economy or of our country, public school, taxes, healthcare, free legal aid. Think about that. I want you to think about that, right? Everybody is entitled to trial, a fair trial, whether they can pay for it or not. So there are a lot of socialistic things, and I'm cool with the blend. All right. But to speak to the question, right, and obviously socialism, we have heavier taxes, we have less incentive to grow business, you have less incentive to do things. However, this is very nuanced, right? So I don't want you to take it with a grain of salt and be black and white. Like Canada has a wonderful healthcare system, much better than the United States. Why is that? Because they practice a higher form of socialism than the United States does. I mean, so much so that prescriptions, right? We were talking about drugs earlier. Prescriptions are like 100 times cheaper. Why is that? Things to think about. I'm fine with a hybrid, but I also like the idea of being able to usher my resources to elevate myself, elevate my family, elevate my community. If I want to work 20 hours a day and the other guy doesn't want to work 20 hours a day, I'm fine with that. Everybody has a choice, but I shouldn't be penalized for somebody else's choice. Okay. Now, I've been reading a book about Jeff Bezos and Amazon. And one of the things I find really, really interesting, right, that in capitalism, and I just, real quick sidestep. So in a place like Russia, where they have this whole hybrid of communism and socialism, right, it's really hard to work from the bottom, from the mud to millions, or from the bottom to the top, or 0 to 100. However, it's a lot easier in the United States because they practice a form of socialism and capitalism where money is very much concentrated in the hands of a lot of oligarchs, people that dominate certain industries that were typically used, or the funds came from the government. So, you got to think about that. So then we get into the whole cronyism and nepotism system. And listen, that happens everywhere. That's a function of human nature. However, when you look at a guy like a Jeff Bezos, right? He went to school. He had a quote unquote proper upbringing. When he left his job, his parents actually helped to invest in Amazon, right? So it wasn't just his money. He didn't just jump out of the starting blocks and put all his money to work and it just worked miraculously. No, his parents backed him. So imagine if my parents can back me or your parents can back you. And mind you, we can't back everybody because everybody don't got talent. Just being honest. Everybody don't have work ethic. Just being honest. Right? But just imagine if we back those who actually had talent, who actually had a great work ethic. What would that look like? So now we have a situation where you can rise from the mud and go to the top. You can go from grassroots to the ivory tower. You can do more things. You can become more upwardly mobile. You can, and as you have more money, you can demand more justice as well, if the money is used properly. So, the idea of capitalism, as messed up as it is not perfect, still appeals to me a lot better than being under any other regime for those reasons. Now, if we get like Star Trek, where nobody works, or excuse me, everybody works for free. They work for their own betterment and human potential. By the way, yes, I'm a Star Trek fan. The Next Generation is my favorite one. I think that's great. I don't see that coming anytime across the horizon, though, because human beings are some messed up people. And we like Star Wars. We like to put babies in cages. We like to pit people against one another, and we like to lie. Sounds like somebody we get to see every day on the news. I ain't saying no names, but I think y'all know who I'm talking about. However, it gives more opportunities. So that's my take on that. I just want to address it because it was a question that was asked either this week or last week. What do y'all think? Communism, socialism, capitalism? Which one do you like? All right, so let's get back to answering these questions. So I answered Disney. Even if you dropped the plate when I said trash T-Mobile, it's just my opinions. Faithful Candace, how are you? D Johnson, how are you? All right, real quick story. My man Derek Johnson, worked with Derek Johnson like 15, 20 years ago. Investment, financial planning. This guy's got me running 100 miles in May. So I think I've run a little under 40 miles at this point. I got like another 64 miles to go. So I got to run 100 miles in May. Is that crazy, y'all? Is that crazy or what? All right, Murph says, what about GE? GE stands for General Electric. General Electric used to be a component in the Dow Jones. It's no longer got kicked out because they started losing money. And they actually think they did a little funny accounting over there. So I think GE is trading around 6 or 7 right now. I own a couple of shares of GE as well. Full disclosure, I'm heavy. You're not a heavy investor, Murph. You got some shares though. It's a 3-decade low. I think GE comes back. Again, none of the info. Oh, Miss Edith beat me to the punch. That's right, Miss Edith. This is all for educational purposes only, right? Every stock I talk about, they're just ideas. They're not recommendations. Before you buy any investment, be sure to talk to your investment and tax advisor. Remember, past performance of an investment is not an indication or indicator of future success. So I want y'all to remember that. This is all for education and entertainment purposes today. So I think GE makes its way out. They're big in the turbine space. I think they sold off healthcare. I got to go back and revisit that. But I think they're going to be able to make it. They got a new CEO. You just got to sit, watch, and be patient with them. It's going to be a while, though. It's going to be a while. Yes, Mr. Johnson, I ran today. I was in beast mode. I was a savage, baby. Panda Put, how are you? Panda Put gave to the Cash App. I don't know what to call it. Cash App campaign. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Reagan Brown, welcome. Thank you for joining. Charlie's back. Yes, Ms. Edith, we need some justice. And one of the things we need in order to get justice is revenue. Can't get justice without the revenue. But I digress. I know y'all don't want to hear me going on about my political and social views. Papaya Nest, thank you for joining. Yep. Yes, do your own research. Yes, people. Yes. All right, so Kraft missed earnings targets consistently. Yeah, but they got great numbers this year. Amazon misses earnings targets consistently, and look at them. Listen, earnings targets are just a bunch of guys on Wall Street, the analysts that comes up with the earning targets. They study the company, they know everything about the company, but they don't run the company, right? And if anybody wants to go way, way back in the day, about 15, 20 years, maybe a little bit more, we remember Enron, right? We remember WorldCom, right? Remember Madoff. So those type of people are the ones, well, Madoff doesn't come up with analyst reports, but they're the ones that come up with earnings targets. So we got to realize there's a difference between an earnings target and how well a company is run. The analysts got everybody fooled, right? We looked at the analyst reports like the analyst reports are golden, like their shit don't stink. Like many of the investment banks didn't do shady stuff, and I still believe do shady stuff with them. Now, if y'all don't know, I brought up investment banks, right? Because the investment banks usually do coverage on these IPOs and stocks. Now, the investment banks also are in charge of helping these companies raise capital, whether through stock IPOs, all IPOs run through investment banks. But they also do debt offerings as well. And so all this voodoo research they put out, I don't always believe in. Now, there are some really, really good analysts out there, but I'm a big Jim Cramer fan. And as Jim Cramer says, I believe your average individual can figure out what stock is good, what stock is bad, because I've got other stock mentors in my mind, like Warren Buffett and Peter Lynch, that say it's really about buying the business. It's not about buying the stock, right? If y'all got what I'm saying, it's about buying good businesses. Warren Buffett just said Apple is probably the best run business in the world. Now, if y'all been watching me, when people said Apple was dead, Apple was done because Steve Jobs left, I said, no, there's a guy by the name of Tim Cook that's very much in charge of their outsourcing strategy. Tim Cook was the reason Apple went to China in the first place. He's been there. There's other people that came up with the ideas for the iPhone, iPod, iPad that are still there. I think one guy left, but they're still there. So they still have their engine, their brain trust that's in place. So earnings reports are cool. And Mr. Darren, I hope you don't feel like I'm picking on you because I'm not. But you set me off on a tangent that I think was a good one. But earnings reports are cool. They're kind of like a guideline, but they're not the end all be all. Yeah, David Foster, we just talked about DLR. Looks very interesting. $133 trading right now. They provide storage space for cloud-based computing and server rooms. So they got big server farms all over the place. Do I invest in 5G stocks like Qualcomm? I'm looking at some of them right now. I don't have any thoughts, comments, concerns on them right now. All I'll say is I don't believe the 5G conspiracy theory. Please, nobody come and get me. All right, Tiffany likes using a pencil every once in a while. All right, so we got a couple pencil users. All right, so I'm not that super duper ancient guy that's like a dinosaur. Right, yes. So Shamise is chiming in on my capitalism rant. I go on that rant a couple times. She says, right, in those societies, in order to move up, you got to work for the government. That's true. Don Johnson says capitalism all the way. Dave Foster, am I really running 100 miles? I'm 100 miles and running, baby. 100 miles and running. One of my favorite albums, by the way. I think the second NWA album is better than the first. But I'm not going to talk about NWA right now. I already told you I'm hip hop to the core. All right, so David Foster is asking about CODX. Is that Cody? Give me a minute. I'm gonna search it. CODX, Co-Diagnostics Inc. Founded in 2013. Watermark Group. What do they do? Man, this is a hell of a runner. You talk about winner, chicken dinner. The sucker was 91 cents January 2nd. It was a penny stock. It's my rule. Some rules. It's a rule. Doesn't mean it's to be lived by. It's $23.42. Guess what I'm looking up, y'all? I'm going to research that, Cody. CODX, Co-Diagnostics Inc. So what does Co-Diagnostics Inc. do? Let's see. What does Co-Diagnostics Inc. do? It's a healthcare diagnostic stock. Rocketed 50.5% in May. Listen, I want y'all to remember, just because the stock market falls does not mean that everybody or every stock is going to fall. So you got to do your research. So it's a healthcare diagnostic. Skyrocketed 50.5% in May. The following, let's see. Yeah. Yep, it's kicking the S&P 500 butt. So they're doing corona testing. And they do SARS testing. So this could be a one-shot deal. But I'm going to dig into that one. That's very interesting. DJ Grimm, what's up, brother? I see you got some new sneaks for your birthday. Happy birthday, brother. It's been a pleasure being your friend for all these many, many years. Everybody say happy birthday to DJ Grim. And I see I have another question on here. Oh, no question. All right. So yeah, David, do you own that? Oh, he wrote it. Oh, wrote a few cover calls on it. Okay. I don't really talk options here, but basically, David brought the opportunity to buy that stock as it increased in price. What two stocks we talking about? Oh, Charlie said the two lab stocks I have are as well. What two lab stocks? What's the ticker symbol? Come on, give the tape. Stop being greedy. Stop being greedy. I would bark on y'all. I told you I love hip hop. DJ Grim can attest I love hip hop. Grim, I just talked earlier about Swiss Beats talked about giving all the hip hop pioneers $1 million a piece. That's a big homage. And back to what they did to the Crow Crush. So on Facebook, they said happy birthday to DJ Grim. Mr. Lester, how are you? Thank you for joining. All right, Fire Eye. So Shamice asked me about Fire Eye. It's trading at $10.94. What did it do year to date? Year to date, it's $16.78. Today, it closed at $10.94. It's about $6. Dropped about 6 points to the day. Fire Eye is a publicly traded cybersecurity company headquartered in California. It provides hardware, software, and services to investigate cyber security attacks, protect against malicious software, and analyze IT securities. They do $889 million a year in revenue. $889 million a year in revenue. Sounds sexy. Shamice, are you invested in that? David Foster just said, happy birthday to DJ Grim as well. So for any of y'all who are hip hop that are from Philly, Grim's a friend of mine. And many of y'all don't know I used to be a party promoter many, many years ago. By the way, I'm an introvert who used to be a party promoter. Very, very interesting, right? Yeah, Fire Eye looks very sexy. Again, none of these things are investment recommendations. None of these things are investment recommendations. These are for entertainment and educational purposes only. So I'm looking at the financials. Last quarter, they did 224 million, down about 76 million from the previous quarter. I think that warrants a search. I think that warrants a research. We know hackers are busy. We know the Nigerian letters are still popping. Sadly, there's a lot of security issues that are popping off. I mean, if anybody knows, I've been also talking about PPP or payroll protection program that IRS and U.S. Treasury issued and started. Hey, Joanna, how you doing, lady? There were some schemes. Matter of fact, one of the people that did schemes on the government's money just this quick just got sentenced to prison, to some prison time. So I don't know how they did it. They created some money, some company, some front company to get some of the PPP money. I'm not quite sure if they got it, but they got found guilty. So listen, there are scams and scammers that are going to be here for quite some time. And sadly, there are scams and scammers that have been around since the beginning of time. I mean, if you really think about it, right? The story of Adam and Eve with the apple and the snake. By the way, I don't really believe in Adam and Eve, but just as a reference, that was all about a scam. The serpent was a scammer. The apple was a scam, right? I am Murph. You're a mixing and matching things. So we did have an investment group, and we also became party promoters. You chose not to go along for that route. So for y'all, I am Murph is a real good friend of mine. We grew up together. He's from my block. All's good, Lester. All's good. So let's see. Okay, so you purchased QQQ. QQQ is basically a tracker for the NASDAQ. It tracks all the stocks on the NASDAQ. Matter of fact, the NASDAQ is the only index. By the way, we talked about indexes earlier. The NASDAQ is also an index, but you can get listed on the NASDAQ as well. But the NASDAQ is the only one of the indexes that are currently in positive territory. So that's a good thing. Now, how long ago did you buy QQQ? Right now, QQQ is $219.34. Now, I'm not looking at QQQ directly, but let me see. One of the top holdings at QQQ is Apple. Is Apple, anybody think Apple's going anywhere? I know another top holding on QQQ is Microsoft. Anybody think Microsoft's going anywhere? Now listen, y'all know this is an interactive show. I got to chime in. Tell me what you're thinking. Is Microsoft going anywhere? I don't think so. All right, so I'm going to jump around on y'all a little bit. So Ms. Carol asked a question. Yeah, but how profitable is Co-Diagnostics? Will Co-Diagnostics be after the pandemic? That's a great question. That is the question you should be asking. Other question I would be asking is, how long do we think COVID testing will go? Okay, so Ms. Carol says, so I might get in trouble with this one. So Ms. Carol says she's going to read up on day trading. She's tired of losing money. Well, Ms. Carol, if you're tired of losing money, you might not want to day trade. Why? Because 95% of day traders lose their money. It takes a while to become really good at day trading. You have to have high EQ, high emotional intelligence, high emotional fortitude to be a day trader. I would suggest you start at swing. If you are dead on about being a trader, I would be a swing trader first. You got to really have the emotional mindset to be a trader, period. That's why I don't really talk about it. So we got the happy birthdays. Yes. No. What are you saying no to, Dave? All right, so going back to QQQ. So, like I said, QQQ has Apple, has Microsoft, has Amazon, Facebook, Alphabet. Anybody know who owns Alphabet or what Alphabet owns? Intel, Netflix, PepsiCo, and Cisco Systems. So does anybody know what Alphabet owns? Yes, Ms. Carol, 95%. I wouldn't lie to you. What's crazy, Joanne? Capers USA. I think, did I say that right? Capers UA. I'm sorry. Welcome. Oh, so you brought it 4 weeks ago. All right, cool, Lester. Welcome to the investing bunch. So you brought it 210, you brought it 214, and you brought it 224. So what Lester just did was he dollar cost averaged, it sounds like, into the ETF QQQ. ETF stands for Exchange Traded Funds. It seems like we almost talk about ETFs every week as well. Right. Microsoft is here to stay. Lionel, how are you? Coach Al, how are you? The stock market is just a graph of rich people's feelings. No, that is not true. The stock market is not just a graph of rich people's feelings about money. I know that's your favorite saying. I just talked about capitalism too, Lester. You would enjoy that. No, the stock market is a perfect reflection of all people's feelings, right? There's probably more pension money involved in the stock market than rich people's money. Now, the rich people actually manage the pension money, but that's another thing. But there's middle class people and poor people's money that are in the stock market that tend to benefit from the stock market. And so every time people talk about how bad or how evil or how sinister the stock market is, nobody ever sits to talk about or think about people that get pensions. Again, which is one of the biggest drivers of institutional money that's in the stock market. Yes, Alphabet owns Apple. Just testing y'all to see if y'all awake. Miss Edith said yes, they discussed every week. Okay. All right. So Cheryl Lester asked the question. She asked about PBH. I think PBH is a REIT, but I'm not sure. Oh, Prestige Consumer Healthcare. Why do you like PBH, Cheryl? Talk to us. So PBH trading at $39.23. At the beginning of the year, the stock started off at $40.50. It's now $39.23. What do they do? Prestige Consumer Healthcare. Prestige Consumer Healthcare develops, manufactures, markets, distributes, and sells over-the-counter healthcare products in North America and Australia and internationally. It operates in two segments: North America OTC healthcare and international OTC healthcare over the counter. The company offers BC Goody and logistic. Oh, is this what's the people with the BC powder? What's the people with the BC powder? I don't think I ever knew they were publicly traded. You learn something new every day, folks. You learn something new every day. Prestige Brands, MedTech, distributes, and they got 530 employees. And let's see, let me find the money. Let's find the money. Keep y'all questions coming in. Y'all know I usually roll with y'all till I am so famished that I can't eat anymore or can't talk anymore. So it looks like so PBH, we're talking about PBH, y'all, Prestige Consumer Healthcare. They do a little under $1 billion a year in sales. And it looks like they do. Last year they did about 142 million. So they got decent margins. Not super excited about it, but I am excited about a company that can withstand and come back, can withstand the markets for all this time, for this year during the COVID era, and then can come back. Right. Marvin said Google as well. So all right, Marvin's on the ball. He knows who Alphabet owns. I don't know what that means, Joe. I was looking to those that fund PPE. Okay. Sleep calling me. Got to go to work tomorrow. The grind don't stop. Thanks for sharing your knowledge for free. You're welcome. But don't make my free contribution worthless. Go do something with it. Cal, what's up, Seven Deuce? No, PBH is a stock. I do think there is a PBH ETF, though. That's, you know what? Is that? No, it's not. It's not. So it's a stock. All right, Miss Carol, go ahead. But, don't take advantage of my free knowledge, right? Go put my free knowledge to work and then tell somebody else about the free knowledge that I give out. So we all can benefit from the free knowledge. All right. So Rhonda Cox, what do you think about One United Bank? One United Bank is a black bank, black-owned bank. Black banks are very important. I think One United Bank is the biggest black-owned bank in the country. I believe they have over $1 billion in assets. Sadly, all black-owned banks suffer the same thing: lack of support from the black community. We have $1 trillion a year in overall spending power, and yet we don't even have a bank that's 50 billion strong. There's usually at least one black-owned bank in every city. So a lot of times I hear a lot of the complaints. I've helped promote my locally owned black-owned bank here in the city. Sometimes they're not convenient. People complain. Sometimes they don't have the most favorable technology. Again, sometimes people complain. They don't have the best customer service. Sometimes people complain. I haven't really experienced any of those things, but I'm also different. And I see the greater picture and the need for a really big black-owned bank, right? Black-owned banks typically are more lenient when it comes to making loans to people in their community. My community, I'm black, so from the black community. So, it's a double-edged sword. People work hard for their money. I get it. They want to put their money somewhere where it can be protected and it's safe. And a big part of safety is psychological and emotional safety. And so I do think many of the black-owned banks have a long way to go. However, we have these other banks, right? And I think y'all about to send me on another tangent, about to get on my soapbox again, who are actively still practicing redlining. If nobody knows what redlining is, look up redlining. If you look up a book called The Color of Money, a phenomenal book that talks about just how devilish redlining is. Redlining, for the most part, is responsible for ghettos today, or dilapidated neighborhoods to this day, and the disparity of care and coverage and wealth inequalities that are especially widespread in those neighborhoods today. But we have banks that still practice redlining to this day. Wells Fargo has paid a boatload of cash over improper banking practices as it was related to subprime mortgage lending and 07, 08, 09. Now, some of that was due to some of the acquisitions that came from some of the other banks. Some of the other banks, like I want to say Washington Mutual, but I'm not sure. But there's a couple of big banks. All they did was churn out subprime loans. That's all they did. And so Countrywide was one of them. I think Countrywide got absorbed by Bank of America. So a lot of them are falling on the sword. But as you see with Wells, these jokers was creating fake bank accounts. So they not too far removed from redlining. Either way you shake it up. Lester says, I wouldn't hit a dog in the ass with Wells Fargo. Now that's hilarious. That's hilarious. And so when we talk about black banks, when we talk about black business, it's something I'm very, very passionate about. And there's a reason. If anybody's ever read Maggie Anderson's book called Our Black Year. Maggie talks about her journey to support Black-owned businesses for a whole year. Now, I'm not talking about your mortgage company and utility companies. I'm talking about everything that's left over. It was really hard for her to do, really challenging for her to do. One of the reasons it's really challenging to do that is because we don't really have enough big Black banks in our communities. I mean, JP Morgan has over $1 trillion in assets. I mean, when you just fathom that and fathom the community that they service and fathom, you know, when we talk about the black and white wealth gap, how Black families have, the stat changes, but it's, the last one I saw was like $11,000 of net worth versus a white family who has $144,000 of net worth of wealth. A big part of that is systemic, meaning that racism is in part of the system that we all had to deal with. And I know this is a question and answer show of money, and y'all don't necessarily want my political and social views, but the question led to that, so I'm going to give it to you. So when you think about that, right, systemic racism, and all these other communities have big centers of wealth, big centers of money that can be doled out and used and invested, right? Invested in businesses, invested in real estate, invested just in employees, right? Bringing employees in to learn about banking. I mean, it's vital. Every strong community has a strong bank. I don't think there's one strong community does not have at least one strong bank that community serves. So, you know, we really had to start thinking about how to do it. I know One United, going back to Rhonda Cox's original question, I know One United has a pretty good, strong online presence. What I'm going to do is, I haven't opened a bank account with them. I'm going to look them up and see if I should open a bank account with them. And, you know, just the fact that they're a Black-owned business, I'll talk about it all day long, especially if they do me good. So I'll be the guinea pig for that. I think they've gotten a lot of good ratings and reviews, so I'll definitely dig into that and check that out later. But if you all have Black-owned banks in your own community, look at those too. Look at those too. Wow. So, Lester's here for it. Lester's a white guy, and he's here for all my racial commentary. All right, cool, Lester. That's why I can rock out with you. Lester said race equality news came. I read the difference in Southern California and LA was 10 times. Yeah, I can believe it. Boss man PG, how are you? Okay, I'm sorry. So Shirley said that the largest distributors of surgical masks. Okay. You know what? I think we talked about them before. I'm not super duper pumped on mask companies and what's the stuff? The cleaner. I'm wondering if that's a fad, or if it's really a long-term theme that's going to develop. So David Foster says systematic denial of various services by federal government agencies, local governments, as well as private sector to residents of specific, most notably Black neighborhoods or communities, either directly or through the selective raising of pricing. Not just the selective raising of pricing, also through the denial of capital. FHA would deny a loan to any builder who planned, not that did, but who planned on building developments that had any Black residents. They would deny their funding. FHA. I'm not making this up. But thank you, David. David was describing redlining. Yes, Washington Mutual and Wachovia, but Wachovia faded into Wells, but I feel like Wachovia brought somebody else And they got folded into. But either way, y'all get the gist. Is it good to see a lot of companies issuing bonds? Issuing bonds is just another way to raise capital, right? Let's say you got $1 billion business and you need capital to expand. The idea comes in: do you want to take out a loan, or do you want to get more investors? More investors means that you have more owners. More owners means that you have more opinions. Do you want more opinions? Do you want the debt? Then also, when you're thinking about the debt, is it cheaper to finance? Fed funds rate is near zero right now. What's prime rate right now? Anybody know what prime rate right now is? Let's Google prime rate right now. But as I was talking about it, prime rate or getting lenders at this point, oftentimes is a lot cheaper than getting investors and issuing more stock. So according to the Wall Street Journal, this week's prime rate is 3.25%. A year ago, it was 5.5%. And so prime rate, that's like that super duper fancy rate that only the rich can get. Thanks, David. That only the rich can get. And you got to have that good credit. And institutions tend to get prime rate or better, actually, right? So if they can borrow at prime rate or better, why not? Why not? So, oops, I hit the wrong button. And we have a new joiner. Is it Yannicka? Yannicka Robinson joiner. I hope I said your name right. If I didn't, please correct me. I can be a little slow at times with saying names right. My name is Kamari, so I got one of those funny names that came out in the 60s and 70s, right? That I got teased for. So I try not to mess up people's names. All right, any more questions? Because I'm going to get off. I've been on almost 2 hours. Lester says, I've seen entire towns in Texas master plan white communities designed not to have business residents. No, excuse me, not to have black residents. Every game is rigged. Yes, every game is rigged. That's why you got to know the rules. And then you got to figure out how they are rigging the game so you can reverse rig it for yourself to win. That's what I believe. That's the game I'm playing. Some people want to play the woe is me game. I ain't got time for that. But listen, that doesn't mean even understanding the history, putting everything into full context, and rocking out with that. However, I believe that if my ancestors could buy their way out of slavery, what's my excuse? If my ancestors can buy their way out of slavery, there's plenty of them that did, plenty of them that's documented. What's my excuse? Lester, you need to go bike ride because I'm fat. Well, listen, Lester, you know I'm in the Fat Boy Club too. That's why I'm running this 100 miles in May, so I can resign from the Fat Boy Club. So it's all good. It's all good. All right, so what other questions do we have? So for everybody watching, if you're brand new watching, one thing I do ask is that you all go like and subscribe my YouTube channel. It is www.youtube.com/Kamari Ellis. Kamari spelled CAMARIELLIS. All right. YouTube.com/Kamari Ellis. And I am about to drop a course pretty soon. And it's not just your regular course, but I'm going to be talking about the building blocks of wealth. So y'all stay tuned for that. That's going to be very, very interesting. I'm actually partnering up on that as well. So I'm going to partner with another person to build this course out. It's in the process. We're almost done. And so that is something else we'll be doing. Miss Carter, how are you? Nayo. So Nayo is like my super tax coach in my head. I haven't paid her down yet. I'm pretty sure she's going to extract some money from me at some point. But listen, She kicks my butt. It's good stuff though, but I think she enjoys it. But it's all good. It's all good. But listen, if anybody is interested in the new course that I'll be having coming out, the link is at the bottom of the screen. It's bit.ly/wealth startup. bit.ly/wealth startup. It'll be coming out soon. So you'll just see a coming soon landing page. But go in and put your email address in, and I will keep you up to date of all the developments. And maybe if you sign up early, I'll give you a little discount. You make sense. So Nao's from Baltimore, and you know they talk big trash, and they think they're better than everybody else. Listen, from Philly, and everybody from Philly is king and queen, right? So yes, you. Thank you for putting that up there. You can't make me want more for myself. You can challenge me, but I already want more for myself. Gosh darn it. My IG live feed just ended. Happened again. Yes, Mudsa Means is Aisha Sheldon. Aisha Sheldon is from Philly. Shout out to her. I've never met her. Everybody I know, though, knows her. I hear she is super duper dupe. Maybe I can get the book and I'll read it, and then I'll interview her about the book. That would be dope. I have not heard one bad thing about Miss Sheldon. So, and people I know and respect, really speak highly of her. So when people I know and respect speak highly of her, that's very impressive to me, because we can be a bit skeptical. I know I can be skeptical, right? I can be skeptical because, let's just be honest, right? There's a lot of people out here that's trying to separate you from your wallet or your pocketbook and put all their money in their pocket, and they're not interested in creating or producing any value whatsoever. None whatsoever. So we'll see. We will see. But to ask, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you're interested in a new, it's called the Wealth Startup, the new course, and hearing more about it, sign up for the email list, and I will keep you updated as to all the new developments on that. So if there's no other questions, guess what? We'll be here next Wednesday, same Rebel time, same Rebel channel. We'll be talking about money. Bring your questions. Share this with people who are looking to increase their financial IQ. And I thank you all for joining me on tonight's journey of the Financial Rebel Show. And I will see you all again very, very, very soon. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.